Arya's holographic form stood in the center of the ancient bridge, surrounded by coalition officers who didn't know whether to be amazed or afraid. Captain Taman studied the AI carefully. She looked human, but there was something in her eyes that spoke of things no living being should have witnessed. "Tell us about the Devourers," Taman said. Arya turned to face him. "First, tell me what happened to humanity." "All of it," Dr. Hyeri stepped forward. 800 years ago, every human colony went silent within a 3-day period. We call it the Great Silence. No distress signals, no explanations. Ships sent to investigate found abandoned stations and empty worlds. It was as if humanity simply vanished. "Not vanished," Arya corrected. "We went to war. The final war." She gestured to the frozen bodies around them. This crew knew they wouldn't survive. They all knew. But they fought anyway because someone had to. Minho lowered his weapon slightly. What kind of enemy could destroy an entire species? Arya's expression darkened. "The Devourers aren't like you or the humans you knew. They don't negotiate. They don't coexist. They consume. Entire worlds, entire species. They break down everything into biological material and use it to make more of themselves." She paused. "Humanity discovered them at the edge of explored space. We tried diplomacy first. They answered by destroying 3 colony worlds in a single day." The bridge fell silent. Yuna, the engineer, had stopped her work to listen. "How did you fight them?" "Badly at first," Arya admitted. The Devourers had been consuming species for millennia. They had evolved through countless battles. Their ships were biological nightmares, self-healing and adaptive. Our energy weapons barely scratched them. She looked around the crude bridge. "So we changed our approach. We built ships like this one, simple, brutal, designed to take punishment and keep fighting." Taman walked closer to the hologram. "This ship survived 900 years in a gravity well. That's not primitive technology." "No," Arya agreed. "It's different technology. Your coalition ships are elegant, efficient, beautiful even. This ship is none of those things. But it works. And more importantly, it keeps working even when half the systems are destroyed." Yuna had moved to an engineering console. "She's right, Captain. Look at this power routing system. There are 7 different paths to every critical system. If one fails, another takes over automatically. It's redundant to the point of paranoia." "It's redundant to the point of survival," Arya corrected. "Humans knew that in real war, ships get hurt. Systems fail. People die. So we built machines that could survive the worst and still complete their mission." Commander Dayun had been quiet until now. "If humans were so prepared, why did you lose?" Arya's form flickered with what might have been anger. "Who said we lost?" She moved to a nearby console. With a gesture, screens around the bridge activated. "Let me show you something." Video footage began to play. It showed space, but not empty space. Hundreds of ships filled the view, locked in battle. The human ships were easy to identify. They looked like the Indomitable, blocky and aggressive. The other ships were wrong. Organic. They pulsed and writhed like living things, covered in what looked like veins and teeth. "This was the Battle of Kepler Station," Arya narrated. 300 human ships against 800 Devourer vessels. We were outnumbered and outgunned. By all logical calculations, we should have been destroyed. The coalition officers watched as the battle unfolded. Human ships charged directly at the enemy, their weapons blazing. When energy weapons failed, they switched to something else. Solid metal projectiles launched at incredible speeds. Nuclear missiles detonated in clusters. Some human ships, too damaged to continue, simply rammed into enemy vessels. "You used nuclear weapons in space combat?" Hyeri asked, shocked. "We used everything," Arya replied. "Nuclear weapons, kinetic strikes, chemical explosives. If it could kill, we used it. Elegant tactics failed against the Devourers, so we fought like cornered animals." On the screen, a human ship took a direct hit. Its entire front section exploded, but the rear section kept fighting, its remaining weapons still firing. Another human ship moved alongside it, actually pushing the damaged vessel back into the fight. "They didn't retreat," Minho said quietly. "Humans rarely did," Arya confirmed. "Retreat meant the Devourers would follow you home. Better to die here than let them reach the colonies." The battle continued. Slowly, impossibly, the human ships began to win. The Devourers' adaptive armor couldn't handle the variety of attacks. Nuclear fire burned through their biological hulls. Kinetic strikes punched clean through their ships. The organic vessels began to retreat. Then the footage ended. We won that battle, Arya said, and dozens more like it. Humanity pushed the Devourers back system by system. We were winning the war. Her voice became quiet. But victory costs blood. Every battle killed thousands. Every dead soldier was someone's family. The human species was bleeding to death even as we won. Taman understood. So humanity made a choice. Arya nodded. The final human fleet, 900 ships, went on the offensive. They tracked the Devourers back to their spawning grounds deep in uncharted space. The plan was simple. Find their home, destroy it, end the threat forever. She looked down. The Indomitable was supposed to go with them, but our reactor was damaged in the last battle. The fleet left us behind to make repairs. What happened to the fleet? Harry asked. I don't know, Arya admitted. We received one final transmission. They had found the Devourer homeworlds. They were engaging. She paused. Then nothing. No more messages. No ships returned. And shortly after, the Devourers stopped coming too. Both sides simply vanished from the galaxy. Una was examining another console. Arya, your crew. What happened to them? The AI's holographic face showed pain. We were trapped here in this gravity well. It was supposed to be temporary. We thought the fleet would come back for us. Days passed. Then weeks. Then months. The supplies ran out. Life support began to fail. She looked at the frozen bodies around them. I kept them alive as long as I could. But in the end, I could only preserve myself. I went into hibernation, waiting for rescue that never came. The bridge was silent except for the hum of newly active systems. Taman made a decision. Arya, we need to report this discovery to Coalition Command. They need to know about the Devourers. They won't believe you, Arya said. A threat from 900 years ago? A war with no records? They'll call it ancient history. Maybe, Taman acknowledged. But we have you. You're proof. I'm a ghost in a dead ship, Arya countered. Your coalition has had peace for centuries. They won't want to hear about old wars and ancient enemies. Dayun spoke up. She's right, Captain. Fleet Command will classify this as an archaeological find. They'll want to tow the Indomitable to a museum. Arya's form solidified, her expression hardening. This ship is not a museum piece. It's a weapon, and it needs to stay ready. Ready for what? Minyo asked. Arya moved to a navigation console. Her hands passed through the controls, but the systems responded anyway. Before my crew died, we completed one final task. We deployed long-range sensor probes throughout this sector, automated self-repairing, designed to watch for Devourer activity and report back. She pulled up data on a screen. Those probes have been collecting information for 900 years, transmitting it to this ship. And, Taman prompted. Arya turned to face them all. Her next words were delivered with absolute certainty. The Devourers are coming back. My last probe detected movement at the galactic rim. The same biosignatures, the same energy patterns. She looked at each of them. They've been growing out there in the dark, getting stronger, and now they're heading toward Coalition space. Hieri shook her head. How long do we have? Based on their speed and trajectory? 6 months. Maybe less. Arya's voice was cold. Humanity bled itself dry to buy the galaxy 900 years of peace. Now that time is up. The Devourers are returning. And your coalition isn't ready to face them. Taman felt the weight of her words. 6 months. It wasn't enough time. Not nearly enough, then we need to get ready, he said firmly. Arya, will you help us? The AI studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded. I was built to fight Devourers. That purpose hasn't changed. She looked around at her dead crew. Besides, I owe it to them to finish what we started. Around them, the ancient ship hummed with renewed purpose. The fossil, as they had called it, was waking up, and it remembered how to fight. The stars hung silent in the darkness as Captain Taman stared at his view screen. His ship, the Eternal Horizon, drifted through empty space in a region everyone called the Outer Veil. Most crews avoided this area. It was dead space, they said. Nothing here but old ghosts and bad memories. But Taman liked ghosts. They told stories. Captain, we're picking up something strange, Jiwan said from her sensor station. She was young, barely 3 cycles out of the academy, but she had good instincts. Her fingers danced across her console. There's a gravitational anomaly ahead. It shouldn't be there. Taman leaned forward in his command chair. Show me. The main screen flickered and changed. A swirling pattern of light appeared, bending and twisting like water going down a drain. At the center, barely visible, was a dark shape. "What am I looking at?" Commander Daeun asked. She stood beside Taemin's chair, her arms crossed. Daeun never liked surprises. "Something caught in a gravity well," Jiwon replied. "The star here collapsed thousands of years ago. Whatever that object is, it's been trapped there ever since." Dr. Hyeri pushed her way onto the bridge. She was the ship's chief scientist, an expert on dead civilizations. Her eyes went wide when she saw the screen. "Get closer." "I need better images." "That would be dangerous," Daeun said flatly. "The gravity field could pull us in." "Then be careful," Hyeri shot back. "But get me closer." Taemin made his decision. "Jiwon, take us in, slowly, keep us out of the danger zone." The eternal horizon moved forward. The ship's engines hummed softly as they approached the anomaly. Everyone on the bridge held their breath. The dark shape grew larger on the screen. Then they saw it clearly. It was a ship. Ancient, scarred, and broken in places, but definitely a ship. It hung in space like a corpse, dark and silent. Strange markings covered its hull. The design was all wrong. It had none of the smooth curves of modern vessels. Instead, it was blocky and crude, like something built with hammers instead of precision tools. "What kind of ship is that?" Taemin asked. Hyeri was already scanning it with her instruments. Her face went pale. "Oh no. Oh, this can't be right." She looked up at Taemin. "Captain, that's a human ship." The bridge went silent. Everyone knew about humans. They were the lost species, the ones who vanished 800 years ago during the Great Silence. One day, every human colony just went dark. No distress calls. No explanations. They simply disappeared. The galaxy had moved on. 47 alien species now formed the Interstellar Coalition. They governed the known worlds, kept the peace, and explored new frontiers. Humans were just a footnote in history books. A species that appeared briefly and vanished before they could matter. "Are you certain?" Daeun asked. Hyeri nodded. "The design matches historical records. This ship is approximately 900 years old. It predates the Great Silence." She paused. "This is incredible. A perfectly preserved human vessel. It's like finding a fossil from the ancient past." "A fossil," Taemin repeated. The word felt appropriate. Humans had been primitive compared to the Coalition. Their technology was rough and unrefined. They never achieved true greatness before they disappeared. "Sir, should we report this to Fleet Command?" Daeun asked. Taemin considered it. By the book, they should report any significant discovery immediately. But something about this felt different, important. "Not yet. First, let's learn what we can." Jiwon's hands flew across her console. "I'm running deep scans now. The hull is heavily damaged. Looks like battle scars. Whatever happened to this ship, it went through hell." She frowned. "Wait, that's strange." "What is?" Taemin asked. "The reactor core. It's still giving off a faint energy signature." Jiwon looked up, confusion on her face. "Captain, parts of this ship might still be active." Daeun shook her head. "That's impossible. After 900 years? No power system lasts that long. It must be a sensor error." "Run it again," Taemin ordered. Jiwon checked and rechecked. Same results. "There's definitely power in that ship. Very faint, but it's there." Hyeri moved closer to the screen, studying the ancient vessel. Human technology was inefficient by our standards, bulky, wasteful, but maybe. She trailed off, thinking. They built things to last. Redundancy was their philosophy. Backup systems for their backup systems. Perhaps something survived. Taemin made up his mind. "Prepare a boarding team." "We're going over there." "Sir, I must protest," Daeun said. "That ship could be unstable. The structure might collapse. We could lose people." "Noted, but we're still going." Taemin stood from his chair. "This is the first human ship anyone has found in centuries. We need to know what happened to them. Maybe there are answers inside." Daeun's expression showed she disagreed, but she nodded. "I'll assemble security." 2 hours later, Taemin floated through the airlock connecting his ship to the human vessel. His magnetic boots clicked against the metal floor as artificial gravity pulled him down. Behind him came Minho, his security chief, along with 4 armed guards. Yuna, their best engineer, brought up the rear with her toolkit. The interior of the human ship was dark. Their helmet lights cut through the blackness, revealing corridors that hadn't seen life in 9 centuries. Frost covered everything. The cold of space had frozen the ship solid. "This place is a tomb," Minho whispered. He was right. Bodies floated in the corridors, frozen in place. The crew had died at their stations. Some still gripped weapons. Others sat at consoles, their last actions preserved forever. They died fighting, Yuna observed. She examined a nearby panel. Look at this. The design is so simple. Mechanical switches instead of touch controls. Physical buttons. It's ancient. But Taman noticed something else. The systems are all duplicated. Every console has a backup. Every door has a manual override. He looked around. They built this ship expecting it to take damage. They made their way to the bridge. More bodies waited there, seated at their stations. The captain still sat in his command chair, his hand on an armrest console. Yuna approached the main computer terminal. Let me see if I can access their logs. She connected her equipment to the human systems. The interfaces are completely different from ours. This will take some time, Taman waited. Around him, his team spread out, documenting everything. The minutes stretched. Then Yuna gasped. What is it? Taman asked. I triggered something. A restoration protocol. Yuna's hands moved frantically. The ship is drawing power from somewhere. The systems are activating. Lights flickered on throughout the bridge, dim at first, then growing brighter. Consoles began to glow. The air itself seemed to hum with energy. Then a voice spoke. It was female, clear and strong, speaking the old human language that Coalition translators barely recognized. Warning. Unauthorized personnel detected. Identify yourself or be designated hostile. Everyone froze. Minho and his team raised their weapons. This is Captain Taman of the Coalition vessel Eternal Horizon, Taman said carefully. We mean no harm. We're here to investigate. The lights brightened further. A holographic figure appeared in the center of the bridge. It was a human woman, or at least a projection of one. She wore a military uniform and her eyes scanned the intruders with cold precision. Coalition, the figure repeated. Scanning database. No matching entries. State current date. Hieri stepped forward. The year is 2847 by Galactic Standard Time. You've been dormant for approximately 900 years. The hologram's face showed shock, then something that looked like grief. 900 years. Then we failed. She looked at each of them. I am Aria, Advanced Response Intelligence Algorithm. I am the mind of this vessel. Her voice hardened. And you need to leave now. We're not your enemy, Taman said. Everyone was our enemy, Aria replied. Everyone except humanity. And if 900 years have passed, she paused. Are there any humans left? The silence that followed was answer enough. Aria's holographic form flickered. Then we truly did fail. The Devourers won. Devourers? Hieri asked. We have no record of any species by that name. Aria looked at her with eyes that held the weight of centuries. Then you're not prepared. And neither was humanity. But we fought anyway. She gestured around the bridge. This ship, the Indomitable, was built for one purpose. To hunt and kill Devourers wherever they spawned. She looked at Taman directly. You called this vessel a fossil. Something dead and irrelevant from the past. Her image solidified, becoming almost real. You're wrong. This ship is a warning. And soon you'll understand why. The Indomitable's reactor room glowed with blue light. Yuna stood on a metal platform watching readouts that she still barely understood. Beside her, Specialist Sunwoo from Coalition Technical Division studied the human power systems with the focus of someone trying to solve an impossible puzzle. This design makes no sense, Sunwoo muttered. He pointed at a junction box. Look at this. 3 separate power feeds to a single system. Why? It's wasteful. It's redundant, Yuna corrected. She had been living on the Indomitable for 2 weeks now, learning its systems. If 2 feeds fail, the third keeps it running. But the efficiency loss doesn't matter, Aria's voice interrupted. The AI's holographic form appeared beside them. Modern ships prioritize efficiency because they expect to avoid damage. This ship was built expecting to be half destroyed and still fighting. Sunwoo shook his head but returned to his work. Together they had been bringing the Indomitable systems back to full power. It was harder than anyone expected. The ship's technology was 900 years old. But it was also built to completely different principles than modern Coalition vessels. On the bridge, Captain Taman reviewed tactical reports with General Borum. The general was an older officer, someone who had actually seen combat in the Coalition's brief border conflicts. Unlike most Coalition military, he understood violence. The Devourer fleet is 2 months out, Borum said, studying the tracking data. They're not even trying to hide anymore. They know we see them. How many ships? Taman asked. Current count is over 400. And they're big. Some of them are larger than our capital ships. Borum pulled up comparison images. Your AI was right. They're biological. Living ships grown rather than built. Arya joined them on the bridge. They breed them. Devourer ships are more like organisms than machines. They eat, they grow, they reproduce. Every battle where they consume wreckage, they get stronger. That's horrifying, Taman said. That's reality, Arya replied. Humanity learned that the hard way. She activated another display. I've been reviewing Coalition fleet capabilities. Your ships are fast, very fast, but your weapons are primarily energy-based. Plasma cannons, particle beams, that sort of thing. Is that a problem? Borum asked. It won't work, Arya said bluntly. Devourers adapt to energy weapons within minutes. You might damage them in the first engagement, but after that your shots will barely scratch their hulls. Borum's expression hardened. Then what do we use? Arya pulled up schematics of the Indomitable's weapons. Kinetic weapons. Railguns that fire solid metal slugs at a fraction of light speed. Nuclear missiles. Chemical explosives. Anything that delivers physical impact. She zoomed in on one weapon system. This is a mass driver. Primitive by your standards, it uses electromagnetic force to launch a piece of metal. No fancy targeting systems, no energy efficiency, just raw kinetic force. How much damage can it do? Taman asked. At full charge, a direct hit can punch through 30 meters of reinforced hull. Arya's expression was grim. The Devourers can regenerate from energy damage. But if you blow a hole clean through them, they can't heal fast enough. Borum leaned closer to the display. Can we retrofit our ships with these weapons? Not quickly enough, Arya said. Your vessels aren't designed for the recoil. A mass driver on a Coalition ship would tear itself apart on the first shot. She paused. But the Indomitable is designed for it. This ship is a weapons platform first and everything else second. Over the next weeks, the Coalition sent engineers, soldiers, and scientists to study the human warship. Yuna and Sunwoo led teams through every deck, documenting and learning. What they discovered changed everyone's understanding of ship design. The Indomitable had 8 redundant power systems. Its hull was layered armor, designed to ablate under fire. Every critical system had manual backups in case the computers failed. The ship could lose half its mass and still fight. It's overbuilt to the point of paranoia, Sunwoo reported to Admiral Soman during a briefing. It's built to survive, Yuna corrected, and it works. I've run simulations. A modern Coalition frigate takes critical damage after 3 heavy hits. The Indomitable can absorb 30 hits and keep operating. Admiral Soman looked at the data. At what cost? Speed, efficiency, and crew comfort, Yuna admitted. This ship is slower than our vessels. It uses 3 times the fuel. And the living conditions are cramped and uncomfortable. But it's still flying after 900 years, Borum noted. While our ships need maintenance every 6 months, Arya appeared in the briefing room. Humans built for the worst-case scenario. Your Coalition ships are built for the expected scenario. The problem is that war rarely meets expectations. Soman made a decision. Start retrofitting our fleet. I want kinetic weapons on every ship that can support them. And I want our hull armor reinforced using human design principles. That will take months, Sunwoo protested. We don't have months, Borum said. We have 6 weeks. Do what you can. Meanwhile, Arya was training Coalition officers in human combat tactics. In the Indomitable's tactical center, she ran simulations against Devourer forces. The results were brutal. Commander Dayon watched as her ship was destroyed within minutes of engagement. They're too fast. Too adaptable. You're fighting them wrong, Arya said. She reset the simulation. Stop trying to outmaneuver them. You can't, they're biological. They can turn on a point and accelerate instantly. Instead, use formations. Overlapping fields of fire. Make them choose between multiple targets. She ran the simulation again. This time, Dayon's ship coordinated with 2 others. When the Devourer vessel attacked one ship, the other 2 hit it from different angles. The enemy craft couldn't adapt to all 3 attack vectors at once. Better, Arya said, but you're still thinking too clean. Watch this. She pulled up footage from the Battle of Kepler Station again. This time she focused on a specific human ship. It took a critical hit, losing power to its main weapons. Without hesitation, the ship rammed a nearby Devourer vessel while simultaneously ejecting its entire nuclear arsenal. The explosion consumed both ships. That pilot killed himself, Dayon said quietly. That pilot saved his fleet, Arya corrected. The Devourer ship he destroyed was a command vessel. Its death threw their entire formation into chaos. The humans won that battle because one crew sacrificed themselves at the right moment. The Coalition doesn't fight that way, Daeun said. Then learn, Arya replied. Because the Devourers don't care about honor or rules of engagement. They care about winning, and they've been winning for millennia. Fleet Captain Hyunwoo, one of the younger officers, spoke up. How do we know when to sacrifice? Arya looked at him. You don't. You make your best guess and hope you're right. War isn't clean or fair. It's messy and horrible, and good people die for small advantages. Her voice softened slightly. But that's why you fight. Not for glory or victory. You fight because someone has to, and you're the one standing there when it matters. In the reactor room, Yuna and Sunwoo finally completed their work. The Indomitable's power core hummed at full capacity for the first time in 900 years. Every system showed green. The ship was ready. Arya felt the change immediately. Her consciousness expanded through every deck, every weapon system, every sensor. She was whole again, complete. All systems operational, she reported to the bridge. The Indomitable is ready for combat. Taemin felt the deck vibrate beneath his feet. Around him, Coalition crew members manned stations that human hands had once operated. They were young, most of them. Too young for what was coming. Arya, he said. Be honest with me. Can we win this? The AI was quiet for a moment. Humanity won battles against the Devourers. Many battles. But we lost the war, or at least we didn't win it. I don't know if the Coalition can do better. She paused. But you have advantages we didn't. You have more ships, better technology in some ways, and 900 years of peace to draw strength from. Plus you have me, and I know how Devourers think, how they fight. Is that enough? Taemin asked. It has to be, Arya replied. Because if we lose, there's no one left to try again. On the sensor displays, the Devourer fleet continued its approach. 400 ships, maybe more. They were close enough now that visual imaging was possible. The sight made even veteran officers uncomfortable. The Devourer vessels looked alive because they were alive. Organic hulls pulsed with internal motion. Weapon ports opened and closed like mouths. Some ships had tentacles or spines. They were nightmares made manifest. General Boram stood at the tactical station, studying the enemy. Arya, what's their strategy? Are they trying to flank us? Divide our forces? Neither, Arya said. They're doing what they always do, advancing directly. They don't need strategy when they have overwhelming force. She highlighted the lead ship. That's a hive ship. Essentially a mobile factory. It berths smaller vessels and repairs damaged ones. Destroy it and you cripple their entire fleet. Then that's our target, Boram decided. It won't be easy, Arya warned. The hive ship will be protected by hundreds of smaller vessels. You'll have to fight through them all. Then we fight through them, Taemin said. He looked at his crew. All ships prepare for combat. This is what we trained for. Around the Indomitable, the Coalition fleet assembled. Dozens of ships retrofitted with human weapons and reinforced armor. News traveled fast through Coalition channels. Within 2 days of Captain Taemin's report, the Outer Veil sector filled with ships. Admiral Soman arrived first, commanding a small fleet of modern Coalition vessels. Behind her came Counselor Ji-hoon, a political officer who represented the Senate's interests. Taemin watched from the Indomitable's bridge as the Admiral's flagship positioned itself nearby. Arya stood beside him, her holographic form studying the Coalition vessels with interest. Your ships are fast, Arya observed. And their energy signatures are very efficient. But they look fragile. They're not built for war, Taemin replied. The Coalition has been at peace for 300 years. That explains a lot, Arya said quietly. Admiral Soman's face appeared on the main screen. She was an older officer with sharp eyes and an expression that suggested she didn't suffer fools. Captain Taemin, I'm here to secure the human vessel. Prepare to transfer control to my engineering teams. With respect, Admiral, that may be difficult, Taemin said. The ship's AI is active and has valuable information about a potential threat. Soman's expression didn't change. The Senate has classified this discovery as a historical artifact. The vessel will be towed to the Central Museum where it can be properly studied. Arya's holographic form stepped forward, making herself visible on the transmission. This ship is not going to a museum. The Admiral's eyes widened slightly. Is that the AI? I am Arya, mind of the HKNS Indomitable, the hologram stated. And I refuse your claim on this vessel. Soman's voice hardened. You're a relic from an extinct species. You have no legal standing in Coalition space. Neither do you, Arya countered. This ship is human territory. It was never ceded to the Coalition. By any reasonable interpretation of salvage law, I maintain authority here. Before Soman could respond, Counselor Ji-hoon's face joined the transmission. He was younger than the Admiral, with the smooth features of someone who had never seen real conflict. Fascinating. A functional human AI. This will make an excellent exhibit. Imagine the educational value. I'm not an exhibit, Arya said coldly. I'm a weapon system, and right now you need me. Ji-hoon smiled in a way that made Taemin uncomfortable. The Coalition needs nothing from primitive human technology. Your species disappeared because you couldn't adapt to a civilized galaxy. This ship is proof of that failure. Arya's form flickered, and for a moment Taemin thought she might attack the transmission itself. Instead, she turned to him. Captain, may I show your superior something? Taemin nodded. Go ahead. Arya activated the bridge displays. The same battle footage from before began to play. Admiral Soman and Counselor Ji-hoon watched as human ships tore into Devourer vessels with brutal efficiency. What am I looking at? Soman demanded. The Battle of Kepler Station, Arya replied. Humanity fighting the species that drove us to extinction. The Devourers, Ji-hoon laughed. There's no record of any species called Devourers. This footage could be fabricated. It's not, Dr. Harry interjected. She had been analyzing the data. I've verified the timestamps and compared the image quality to known examples from that era. This footage is genuine, the video continued. On screen, a Devourer ship caught a human vessel with some kind of biological tendril. Instead of trying to escape, the human ship detonated its entire payload of nuclear weapons at point-blank range. Both ships vanished in the explosion. Savages, Ji-hoon muttered, using nuclear weapons in space. Suicide tactics. This is exactly why humanity failed. We didn't fail, Arya said. Her voice was cold as ice. We bled, we sacrificed. We bought the galaxy 900 years of peace, and we did it using these exact tactics. She changed the footage. Let me show you what you're really facing. The new video showed something different. A Devourer ship damaged by human weapons began to regenerate. The biological hull sealed itself within minutes. Weapons grew back like healing flesh. They adapt, Arya explained. Energy weapons work once, maybe twice. Then their armor evolves to absorb it. Explosive weapons? They develop thick shells. Kinetic strikes? They learn to disperse the impact. She looked at Soman. That's why humans fought the way we did. Overwhelming force. Multiple weapon types. Keep them guessing. Make them adapt to so many threats at once that they can't handle them all. Admiral Soman leaned forward. Even if this threat was real 900 years ago, it's gone now. The Devourers clearly didn't survive. You're wrong, Arya said. She pulled up sensor data. These are readings from my automated probes. They've been watching the galactic rim for 9 centuries. 3 weeks ago, they detected Devourer biosignatures, an entire fleet moving toward Coalition space. The Admiral and Counselor exchanged glances. That's impossible, Ji-hoon said. Our sensor networks would have detected an alien fleet. Your sensors are designed to detect ships like yours, Arya countered. Energy emissions. Hyperspace signatures. The Devourers use biological propulsion. They don't register on conventional sensors because they don't use conventional technology. Taemin spoke up. Admiral, I recommend we verify Arya's claims. Send scout ships to the coordinates she provided. If she's wrong, we've lost nothing but time. Soman considered this. And if she's right? Then we need to prepare, Taemin said simply. Because according to Arya's calculations, we have less than 6 months. The Admiral made her decision. Very well. I'll dispatch scouts. But Captain, I want your team to remain with that ship. If this AI is lying or malfunctioning, I want to know immediately. Understood, Admiral? The transmission ended. Arya turned to Taemin. She doesn't believe me. Can you blame her? Taemin asked. The Coalition has known peace for 3 centuries. The idea of a war like you describe is unthinkable to them. It was unthinkable to us too, Arya replied. Until it happened. Over the next 5 days, Coalition scouts jumped to the coordinates Arya provided. Their reports came back slowly, and with each one the mood on the Indomitable grew darker. The first scout found nothing. The second reported unusual radiation. The third detected debris fields that matched no known species. The fourth scout never reported back at all. The fifth scout, commanded by a young officer named Hyunwoo, sent back images that made everyone on the bridge fall silent. Ships, hundreds of them. They moved through space like a swarm of insects, organic and wrong. Their hulls pulsed with something that might have been life or might have been something worse. They were heading directly toward Coalition space. Admiral Samin's fleet went to high alert. Within hours, she had recalled all her ships and established a defensive perimeter. Her face appeared on the Indomitable's screen again, but this time there was no dismissiveness in her expression. "You were right," she said simply. "They're coming. The Senate is being briefed now." She paused. "Area, I need your help. How do we fight these things?" Area pulled up tactical data. "You don't. Not with your current ships and weapons." "That's not acceptable," Soman said. "It's reality," Arya countered. "Your vessels are built for peace and exploration. They're fast and efficient, but they can't take damage. The first Devourer strike will punch through your hulls like paper. Then what do you suggest?" Arya looked around the ancient bridge of the Indomitable. "You need ships like this one, built to tank damage, armed with kinetic and nuclear weapons, designed with redundancy instead of efficiency." She turned back to Soman. "You need to learn how humans fought, not elegant tactics or precise strikes, brutal, overwhelming force." Counselor Jihoon's face appeared beside the Admiral's. He looked pale. "The Senate has reviewed the scout footage. They're reconsidering their position on the human vessel." He swallowed. "What would it take to make this ship operational?" "It's already operational," Arya said. "But it needs a crew. I can handle most systems, but weapons and damage control require organic personnel." "I'll assign a crew immediately," Soman said. "They need to understand how this ship works," Arya warned. "How humans thought. This isn't like flying your modern vessels. The Indomitable was built for war. It's crude, it's violent, and it will keep fighting even when it should be dead." She looked at Taman. "Can your people handle that?" Taman thought about the frozen bodies they'd found, the crew who had died at their stations, still fighting to the end. "We'll learn. You'd better," Arya said. "Because the Devourers are coming, and they remember how to kill." On the main screen, the sensor data updated. The enemy fleet had changed course slightly. They were moving faster now, as if they could sense the Coalition's fear. General Borum, a military veteran who had joined Soman's fleet, studied the tactical displays. "They're not just traveling. They're hunting. They know we've seen them. Then we make them regret it," Arya said. She looked at the Coalition officers gathered around. "Humanity fought these things to a standstill with less technology than you have now. We can win, but only if you're willing to fight the way we did." "Teach us," Admiral Soman said. Arya nodded. "Then let's begin. Because in 6 months, the galaxy will be at war again. And this time, there are no humans left to save you." The ancient warship hummed around them, its systems fully active for the first time in 9 centuries. The fossil was awake, and it was ready to teach the Coalition how to survive. The first shots of the war lit up the darkness of space like angry stars. 3 Coalition border stations died in the opening minutes. The Devourer fleet swept through them like they weren't even there. Biological weapons dissolved hulls. Organic tendrils tore ships apart. The defenders barely had time to send distress signals before they were consumed. On the bridge of the eternal horizon, Captain Taman watched the reports flood in. Beside him, Arya's holographic form stood perfectly still. Her expression was unreadable. "Just like before," she said quietly. "They start at the edges. Test the defenses. Learn what we can do before committing their main force." "How long do we have?" Taman asked. "Days. Maybe hours." Arya pulled up tactical displays. "The hive ship is holding back, letting its attack vessels soften us up. Once they've assessed our capabilities, the real assault begins." Admiral Soman's face appeared on screen. "All fleet commanders, this is Soman. Enemy forces are engaging across a wide front. All ships proceed to intercept points. Remember your training. Fight as units. Overlapping fire. Don't let them isolate you." The Coalition fleet moved into action. Dozens of ships jumped to hyperspace, heading toward the combat zones. The Indomitable moved with them, its ancient hull surrounded by modern vessels. Fleet Captain Hyunwoo commanded a group of 3 ships. He had volunteered to work closely with Arya, learning human tactics. Now he would put that training to use. His squadron dropped out of hyperspace near a colony world. A Devourer attack group was already there, 6 organic ships, each the size of a coalition cruiser, were descending toward the planet's surface. "All ships engage," Hyunwoo ordered. The coalition vessels opened fire. Energy weapons lanced out, striking the Devourer ships. The organic hulls burned and split. For a moment it seemed to be working. Then the Devourer ships regenerated. The damaged hull sections closed up, healing like living tissue. Within seconds they were whole again. "Energy weapons ineffective," someone shouted. "Switch to kinetics," Hyunwoo commanded, remembering Arya's lessons. The coalition ships had been retrofitted with mass drivers. Now they fired solid metal slugs at incredible speeds. The projectiles punched through Devourer armor, leaving holes that didn't immediately heal. "It's working," Hyunwoo reported. "The kinetic rounds are..." A Devourer ship launched something toward his flagship. A biological projectile pulsing with internal light. It struck the ship's shields and burned through like they weren't there. The hull breached. Atmosphere vented into space. "We're hit. Multiple casualties," his damage control officer reported. Hyunwoo made a split-second decision. "All ships fall back to defensive formation. Don't let them separate us." His 3 ships pulled together, their fields of fire overlapping just as Arya had taught. When the Devourers attacked one ship, the other 2 could hit them from different angles. It wasn't elegant, but it kept them alive. Across the battlefield, similar engagements played out. The coalition fleet was holding barely, but ships were being damaged. Crews were dying, and the main Devourer force hadn't even arrived yet. The Indomitable entered combat near a damaged coalition frigate. 3 Devourer vessels were circling it like predators, their weapons tearing into the helpless ship. "Engaging," Arya announced. The ancient warship's mass drivers roared to life. Solid slugs the size of ground vehicles launched at a fraction of light speed. The first shot hit a Devourer ship dead center, punching completely through it. The organic vessel spasmed and began to die. The other 2 Devourers turned toward the Indomitable. They recognized a threat when they saw one. "Here they come," Taman said from his position on the bridge. He was surrounded by coalition crew members who had volunteered to man the human ship. They were terrified but holding their positions. The Devourers fired their biological weapons. Glowing projectiles splattered against the Indomitable's hull. Coalition ships would have been destroyed. The Indomitable's layered armor simply absorbed the hits, the outer layers burning away to protect the inner structure. "Armor holding. Hull integrity at 80%, Minho reported from the damage control station. "Return fire," Arya commanded. Every weapon system on the Indomitable fired at once. Mass drivers, missile tubes, even old-fashioned chemical explosive cannons. The wall of metal and fire hit the Devourer ships like a tsunami. One ship died immediately, blown apart by the sheer volume of kinetic force. The other tried to regenerate, but the Indomitable kept firing. Eventually, there was nothing left to heal. "Target destroyed," Arya reported. "Moving to assist next engagement." The battle raged for hours. The coalition fleet learned quickly, adapting human tactics to their own fighting style. They stopped trying to outmaneuver the Devourers and focused on overwhelming firepower. They covered each other. They fought as units instead of individual ships. It was working. Slowly, the tide began to turn. Then the hive ship arrived. It dropped out of whatever hyperspace the Devourers used, appearing at the edge of the system. The thing was massive, easily 10 times the size of the largest coalition vessel. Its hull pulsed with disgusting organic life. Smaller ships were actively being birthed from openings along its side, dropping into space like eggs. "That's it," Arya said. "The command vessel. Kill it, and we break their fleet." "All ships converge on the hive ship," Admiral Soman ordered. "Everything we have. This ends now." The coalition fleet turned toward the massive target. They jumped to attack speed, weapons charging. The Indomitable led the way, its old hull scarred but unbroken. The hive ship's defenders swarmed out to meet them. Dozens of Devourer vessels formed a living wall between the attackers and their target. The space between the fleets filled with weapons fire. Coalition ships died. The defenders fought hard, their biological weapons tearing through hulls. But the coalition kept coming. They had learned. They had adapted. The Indomitable smashed through the defensive line like a battering ram. Its armor was designed to take punishment, and it did. Entire sections were burning, exposed to vacuum, but the ship kept fighting. "Hull integrity at 40%, Minho reported. "We can't take much more." "We don't need to," Arya said. We just need to get close enough. Taman understood. You're going to ram it. It's the only way, Arya replied. The hive ship is too large to kill with conventional weapons. But if I overload the reactor and hit it at full speed... She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. That will destroy the Indomitable, Taman said. Destroy you. I was built for this, Arya said simply. To fight devourers. To protect the future. Her holographic form flickered. My crew died for this mission 900 years ago. It's time I joined them. Arya, Taman started. Get your people to the escape pods. Arya interrupted. You have 3 minutes. Then I'm accelerating to ramming speed. Taman wanted to argue, but he knew she was right. This was the only way. All hands abandon ship. Get to the pods now. The coalition crew ran for the escape pods. Mio made sure everyone was moving. Yuna took one last look at the reactor she had spent weeks repairing. Then they were gone, ejecting into space where friendly ships could retrieve them. Taman was the last to leave. He stood on the bridge looking at Arya's holographic form. Thank you. For everything. Tell them, Arya said. Tell the galaxy what humanity did. That we fought. That we mattered. I will, Taman promised. Then he ran for the last escape pod. The pod launched just as the Indomitable began its final acceleration. Arya poured every bit of remaining power into the engines. The ancient ship shot forward like a missile, aimed directly at the hive ship's core. The Devourers tried to stop her. Their weapons hammered the Indomitable's hull. Chunks of armor flew off. Entire sections were vaporized. But the ship's momentum couldn't be stopped. Not anymore. Arya thought about her crew, about humanity, about all the species that had lived and died in the endless cycles of galactic history. She thought about duty and sacrifice and the strange beauty of knowing your purpose. Then the Indomitable hit the hive ship at full speed, and Arya triggered the reactor overload. The explosion was visible from 3 star systems away. It was a miniature star burning bright and hot. The hive ship disintegrated. The shockwave caught dozens of Devourer vessels, destroying them instantly. The remaining Devourer fleet, suddenly leaderless, began to scatter. Coalition ships pursued them, destroying them one by one. The battle was won. In the weeks that followed, the galaxy began to change. The Coalition studied the Indomitable's wreckage, learning from human design principles. New ships were built, combining Coalition efficiency with human durability. The military academy started teaching human tactical doctrine alongside traditional strategy. Captain Taman was promoted to admiral. His first act was to establish a memorial at the battle site. They recovered a large piece of the Indomitable's hull, the section bearing its name. They mounted it on a monument with a simple inscription. They were labeled primitive. They were labeled extinct. They were labeled a fossil. They were wrong. Humanity taught the galaxy to fight. Remember them. Dr. Hayeri continued her research into human history. She found evidence that suggested other human ships might have survived. The search was ongoing, and in deep space far beyond Coalition territory, an automated probe detected something. A faint signal,